Hey guys, welcome back. So now taking a step back into Year of the Villain and finishing up Nightwing, which will be like 2 videos, but also with doing this, I've kind of been thinking about doing the same with a few of the other events or a few of the other issues throughout Year of the Villain. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But for now, we'll just continue with Nightwing and just kind of take it from there. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping right back in where we had left off, which at this point in time was when Perpetua's symbol had first went into the sky. But also, like we had talked about, William Cobb had placed these goggles on Rick Grayson, which instilled in his mind a history of memories of what his life would have been like had he been taken in by William Cobb instead of Bruce Wayne, which is really a method of deception that has been put in place ever since not long after Rick Grayson was shot by KG Beast. Because with Rick Grayson losing the portion of his memories, like from the time that his parents had died, all the way up to the moment he had woken up from the hospital after being shot, which also included memories of him killing Bruce Wayne, Lincoln March, who were both still alive, but this was very much done with the purpose of tricking Grayson into believing that he had already killed, so that from that moment forward, he can just go on as an assassin without hesitating to take someone's life. And William Cobb's first choice of victims was Team Nightwing, because for whatever reason, William Cobb just felt like the world would be a better place without them. But really, on top of that, I feel like his reasoning was a bit more symbolic, because on one hand is Rick Grayson not only just killing Nightwing, which is a portion of his past that was truly actually his past, but also this would be Rick's first assassination, which would also lock in that killer instinct and in a way solidify that false history with him actually being an assassin. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, like Team Nightwing, with them being attacked by your Talon Rick Grayson, and even at this point with it being 3 against 1, because the youngest member Zach's still in the hospital, but even if he was here, it'd be the same result, different location. Because though these guys, like aside from being dressed like Nightwing, they're still firefighters, detectives, police officers, so they have a level of physicality, but they are no match for Rick Grayson, who pretty much just flipped out the womb and tightrope walked across his umbilical cord, all before he learned how to speak. And that's all canon, don't look it up, just believe me. But really, like Rick Grayson, like if somebody had just activated like a murder mode or like an instant kill mode for his mind, like I think it's pretty obvious that he could have taken these dudes out a lot quicker. And because of that, there's this idea to where maybe a part of Rick is still there. But either way, during this time while the faux Nightwings are getting their butts kicked in a dark alley while the world's on fire, during this time, Condor Red, who's a member of Global Surveillance Ops, who to my understanding is just an organization of surveillance and reconnaissance who would then supply information to like Argus or somebody else who would actually do something, because in a real scope of You're the Villain, Global Surveillance Ops, they're out of their league. And even in the true scale of everything that was going on, it was even far out of the Justice League's league. And I mean, we're told fairly quickly on that this guy's job was just to take a measure of the situation with Perpetua's sign going up in the sky and just report back like what was going on, which we know overall was really just people siding with Doom and essentially just tearing the place apart. But very quickly from these guys' introduction, like we can tell that they don't know jack, because they don't know what the sign is. Condor Red is referring to this Talon as just like some dude in an alley with some knives, and it's possible that his superiors did know the level of threat that he was getting into. And I mean as far as going up against a Talon, not specifically going against Rick Grayson, but either way, it's pretty clear that Condor has no idea how far in danger he really is. But even with this, with B and William Cobb watching from the rooftop, which is a much larger audience than SmackDown at this current moment, but with them seeing Condor interfere, it's like on one hand, B is just glad to see that the death of Team Nightwing is being prolonged just a little bit further, and at the same time, Cobb is watching and looking at Condor like, okay, he looked like his fight game sucks, and he finna die too. But with Condor essentially just coming up with the idea of scooping up Rick Grayson and getting him out of the way. And I'm telling you, like I can't get over the fact that how much this guy, he just don't know nothing. He's like, I'm taking Owl Boy, there's a light in the sky, and I'm throwing him into the river. Condor out. And I just imagine they looking at him like, where do we find this guy? But it's also here where Cobb is like, okay, dude's getting lucky, that's enough. And it's here where he makes his way out to help Rick, who's being tossed over the Bloodhaven Bridge. But also with Cobb leaving B on the rooftop, this gave her the opportunity to make her way down the fire escape and do what she could to help patch up Team Nightwing. And really just enough to hold them off until they get real medical attention, because even after that, she wanted to make her way over to Rick in order to help him out. But with Rick being tossed over the Bloodhaven Bridge, and I swear he'd seen Hugh Jackman do this 20 years ago in a movie on the Statue of Liberty. But with Rick grabbing a piece of it, swinging around, making his way back to the top, and nearly he immediately re-engaged in Condor, it really surprised dude. He was like, whoa, like dude actually cut me. And in addition to that, like the way that he would just dodge Condor's wings, like the reflexes, the recovery, the speed, like Condor wasn't ready for any of it. And he came here acting like he wanted all the smoke, but little did he know that he stuck his head in the chimney. Because on one hand, he's getting torn down by Rick Grayson, but not too far away, you also have Cobb, who still hasn't engaged because he wants Rick to do his first kill on his own. But either way you look at it, like Condor, he did not jump into a good situation because he pretty much caught Rick in the middle of an Anakin Skywalker moment. Because on one hand you have Cobb over in the corner who's like Senator Palpatine, and he's just telling Rick, do it. And he's saying more than just do it. It's like it's do it and finish him. So it's a bit of Nike, Star Wars, and Mortal Kombat 11. It's a bit confusing. But as far as Condor Red, who is drastically losing power in his suit, he finally does something right, and he uses that last bit of power to knock off part of Rick's mask. And when he does this, pleading for Rick not to kill him, one of the last things he says is, I have a family. Which for Richard Grayson caused a number of images to come back into his mind, whether they were memories with the Teen Titans or when Bruce first took him in, and really just a number of iconic moments throughout his history which span between that gap that he was missing all this time. But even with him seeing all these images of these different moments, and every one of these moments truly being something in his life that actually happened, but at this time all he's really getting is just images and feelings. And though he can't piece together all of them at this time, he does know that there's like a group of people and moments who feel like allies and feel like people who care for him, but then there's another group of people who make him feel anxious, as if he's threatened, as if he needs to really defend himself. Which at this point once again does not give him all his memories back, but it's more like the wall which the owls had set up in his mind. It had just been cracked and part of who he really is just seeped through. But even with him seeing that, it's not like he chooses to lean back into that life and try to figure out who Dick Grayson was, but immediately he understands that that life was real, and the memories that William Cobb tried to impose on him, that those were fake. And it really creates the situation to where on one hand William Cobb is pressed to not let Rick Grayson throw away everything that he's worked for, as far as the owls giving Rick this new history and spending so much time blocking out his old memories. In the way they see it, what they've placed in his mind is still there, but it's fragile, and for that reason, as he continues to carve his own path, he'll just break away further from their control and their manipulation. Which is pretty crazy, because I thought this talent thing was gonna last for a little while. And it's like at the same time it couldn't, like not without him being an assassin, because had he really killed the whole team Nightwing, that's not something you can just have go away. That's multiple homicide. So it's good that he didn't actually do that part. But even still, this puts him in a place here where he has to face off with William Cobb in order to pick up from here and continue his journey, which, just to be clear, is still in the direction of this new Rick Grayson. Which is really one of those things to where he's still carving this new path, and I haven't the slightest inkling of where exactly that's going. But we gotta check on him every now and then, just to see what's what. And so now real quick, just wanna give a shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for your support, and if anybody wants more information on how to become a Patreon, I got a link down in the description to where you can check out patreon.com/DopeSpill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because I'm super curious to hear from like the true Nightwing fans, and really just what you guys think about with him being in this state going into the Joker War. But let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll do it again in the next one. Alright, later.